cambiar tu ser. La prueba yo te doy. Él me ha cambiado a mí.
Ometepe Island in Lake Nicaragua was twinned in friendship with Canadian Gulf Islands in 1987-88, late 80s, by spurred on by a visit by myself and George Harris from Galiano to look at possibilities of doing projects under somewhat of a theme of sustainability. So we went to Ometepe, which is called the Island of Peace often by Nicaraguans, and it had not really suffered from any physical war action, but there had been some light skirmishes. Essentially, it was a island reserve in a natural reserve. It was legally a park, supposed to be part of the patrimony of Nicaragua. And we met with, at that time, the mayor was a Sandinista appointed functionary of the Sandinista party who had successfully overthrown a dictator called Somoza. And they named their party after a national hero called Sandino. So we tried to not be political and to just look at what we could do in friendship and high spirits and some high ideals, I guess. And we knew that there were problems with water. Drinking water was a problem, and waste disposal, wastewater, and health issues, all tied into water. Water's pretty basic. So we went back to Canada, to the Gulf Islands, and managed to inspire a lot of activity in support of Ometepe and community building, water systems, community water systems, revamping the electrical and water systems. And in doing the potable water assessment, the water comes down from Ometepe's two hills, which are basically two volcanoes. One is alive and it's always smoking, and the other one is dormant. It has a lake at the top. And it was the more rural and physically disadvantaged part of the island. They didn't have much in the way of social services, transportation, but there was a beautiful tropical forest canopy which protected the watershed, but it was being intruded upon by illegal timber cutting and by people settling on the island and moving up the slopes. The other part of the island, the north end, which has got the active volcano, had been seriously denuded. It had electricity around the perimeter of the island cone, the northern active volcanic cone, and so we worked there initially with their infrastructure. We said, well, we're here to work with you, and so we put in typical pipes and pumps and refurbished from electric to diesel and from diesel to electric. But we really wanted to do gravity-fed water systems and protect the watershed. And so the dug wells were expensive, and sometimes you ran into huge technical problems with the volcanic mantle, trying to pierce that to get to the aquifer. Ran into problems in areas with just wastewater contaminating and poor maintenance because they were in a war. The American government had supplied what were called the Contras, and the Contras were destabilizing the country seriously with military and economic warfare, economic sabotage, taking the coffee, hijacking the coffee beans. Coffee was the largest generator of income for the country, and actually coffee is the second most valuable crop in the world. And we looked at the watershed, and there was coffee planted up in there. And we went, hey, don't cut the watershed. That's going to be affecting the water, your drinking water, but also there's coffee there, and we'll buy the coffee. And we were working with another sister island organization from the Seattle area, Bainbridge Island, and Bainbridge was doing projects as well, and we began to cooperate with them on co-funding some of the education and the drinking water systems that were gravity fed and rural capacity building. We were building as much as we could with the limited funds we had, and we realized that the coffee could become an economic mule or economic engine for our efforts, and that the community of Ometepe could principally decide where that money would be spent. So we began to pay a premium for the coffee. I worked with the growers on organic training, production methodology, and organic certification, and organic inspection. And it was good because they said, well, why should we go through all this? You're always going to buy our coffee. And hey, it's a non-profit. I said, we could be gone tomorrow, and then you would have to relate to the vagaries or the realities of the market, of the coffee market. And so we became what I guess you could call a bit of an enterprising non-profit. And non-profits have to learn that, to be more enterprising, self-financing as much as possible, to have money that you could maybe take to other partners or guilt other possible funders by having talk money. And we actually raised a lot of serious money so that we've been somewhat independent, or it's the Ometepe Gulf Islands Friendship Association. And George came back from Nicaragua and Ometepe, so inspired by what he'd seen, he said, I got to take my kids down. And you know what? We should just give them a camera and we can see these things through the eyes of children. So he had 3 boys and a partner and an old motorhome, and they got in that and went all the way through Nicaragua and El Salvador and Mexico and into Nicaragua and Costa Rica. I got some money from the BC Teachers Federation to fund the film costs, and we schmoozed our way into JVC Canada and got a camera. We said we were going to jungle test. We didn't say the word Nicaragua. That was a wrong thing to say those days. And because it was Sandinistas, there'd been a revolution there that was going on in the north. It was a brutal, brutal time. So, yeah, so it worked out really well. We were able to then begin to learn from them. And we learned a lot.
Puede cambiar tu